We're going to be in John 11. John 11. John 11. And we're going to start on verse 28. And we're going to go to 35. You want to read? I want to read.
28 to 35. Oh, yep. Hang on. You start. I didn't know I was supposed to be flipping. I'm going to get there as fast as I can.
You're good.
John
I will
11.
start. Or I'll wait for you and then I'll start.
I'm almost there.
You're good, bro.
I know my Gospels at least.
Yeah, we'll read a passage.
Get a little messed up on the Old Testament sometimes. I forget the order.
We got some reflection questions, and then we'll answer the Patreon questions.
All right. What verse we start again?
11:28.
11
through 35.
28. All right.
This is the devotional of the week. Here we go. When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private, "The teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she rose quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary rise quickly and go out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of blind men also have kept this man from dying?" So we have the death of Lazarus here. Riley talked about this too. And we have this kind of really cool moment where in the first kind of instance of the Bible, we see Jesus weeping, right? Like Jesus is carrying emotion. And so with that being said, I had 3 reflection questions that we're going to answer together.
Let's do it, man.
And the first one is, how does Jesus' reaction to Lazarus' death in John 11:35, the Jesus wept verse, reveal his humanity and empathy? How does Jesus' reaction to Lazarus' death in John 11:35 reveal his humanity and empathy? Who wants to start?
I'll start it off.
Do it.
Man, I always wonder how deep into the weeds I ever want to go on this podcast into like my own kind of theological leanings, because I'm not actually that well read, and I know we're going to talk about theology on the main show here pretty soon. But I have a lot of theories about the humanity of Jesus and why it was so necessary that he would be man, that God would become man through Jesus. And I think a big part of it was that for God and man to be united, there had to be that liaison of God actually truly knowing what it was like to be human. And I think it was good in that moment that Jesus was able to experience this moment of heartbreak and sorrow, even with the God perspective, which is, I know that things are redeemed and things are okay. But what you see with Jesus right there is the same thing you see with like a parent to a kid. I think we've talked about this before, where a child falls down on the ground and scrapes his knee, and he's wailing and crying and screaming, and a parent knows that child 15, 20 years from now, it's not even going to remember that scraped knee. In the grand scheme of things, from the God perspective in this analogy, it doesn't matter. This kid just scraped his knee, he'll be fine. Yeah. But to the kid, that scraped knee is absolutely everything. And it would be a bad parent to not empathize with that kid and get down and say, "I'm so sorry," and break with that kid and, and feel with that kid. And so I really think that was just in the grander scheme of things, this moment with Lazarus and Jesus doing what he did was just that. It was him being with us, being like us, because that was part of the unity of God and man, was that Jesus would come down and he would emulate man so that we could emulate God. And so for me, that's what that all says.
That's a fantastic answer, honestly. Yeah. I love that you put it that way. I mean, my answer would be, I agree with everything that you just said. I also want to mention, I was at Bible study last Thursday. It's the Thursday nights that I've been going to. I think I told you guys about the men's group. And this dude was praying for me. I was just telling him about like mom and stuff like that. And he like during his prayer, he was praying this, and he's like, "God, I just pray that you would be with Matt during this loss, because you have experienced loss yourself and you have been through that. And so I pray that you meet Matt where he is and know that you have been there and that you're with him and that you're holding his hand through it." And man, it just crushed me, dude, because like, I mean, you read of like the story of like Jesus's death like that, and then like when you lose somebody, it's like, wow, you know, you take a step back and God really did. He lost his son Jesus, lost, right? He rose again. He's in heaven with him, but he experienced what it was like to lose somebody. And it's just cool. It was really touching to know that like the God of the universe, right, has the same kind of emotion that I carry, right? And so I love that you said that. You know, he's fully man and fully God, and
Yeah.
he had to be that in order for us to understand more about him, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could make the argument if Jesus chose to just rise above in that moment and not feel the pain of that moment, right? Then you could argue that Jesus never really was man, because how could you really be a man if you had never experienced loss and heartbreak? And so it's in my view, it was an active choice on Jesus' part to be like, it's my job here to be fully man. And so I have to step into this heartbreak to do what I was here to do.
It's awesome.
So that's how I see it, at least.
I love it. Good answer, man. Number 2, reflect on occasions in your own life when you've experienced grief or loss. Well, this is great. Reflect on occasions in your life when you've experienced grief or loss. How does knowing that Jesus wept in this passage impact your understanding of his compassion? I'll start there because it's kind of what I just said. But yeah, I mean, I think last question pretty much answered that. But like throughout this whole process of grief that I've been going through with my mom and with my family, I just keep telling people that like God actually cares. Like that's what I'm learning through this whole process. And I think what God's been teaching me through it is that like he actually does care. Because I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up going to church, and it becomes routine sometimes, and you hear it multiple times that at some point you start to like question it. And I think that's sometimes what happened in my own faith walk, right? And then, you know, when mom went to heaven, it just kind of opened all that up. And I'm not going to share it again because I've talked about it so many times, but that moment when God just kept sending friends at my mom's funeral, man, it's like God actually does care. And we see it here with his son, where Jesus actually had emotion. He actually does care. He weeps when we weep. He's joyful when we're joyful, man. And that's just pretty cool that we serve a God like that. So
yeah,
what you got?
Man, there's a couple different thoughts. I mean, at this point in my life, thankfully, I haven't had to deal with a lot of loss in terms of death in anybody that I love or care about. I do at the moment, and this is kind of a side tangent, but you know, on the way in here, I was talking to my dad on the phone. My grandparents are both not doing well. I've never had to navigate these waters. I really, really don't know what to do about all of it yet, or how to feel about all of it. But I do know that there's probably a day coming where I'm going to have to. And I don't exactly know what to make of all that in this context yet, because I haven't been there. But the other side of grief I think that I've been experiencing is the grief of a lot of dreams and ideas that I had when I was younger, and the loss of those things, or at least feeling like those things are disappearing and I'm losing them. And so I've been dealing with that to, I think, a pretty extreme degree lately. And we talk about the 5 stages of grief a lot because I've been working on a project about it. And
yeah, which is awesome.
I think I'm
go check it out.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, please. I think I'm very much in the anger stage about the grief of the loss of some of my dreams, and seeing how Jesus, not just in grief, not just in sorrow or anything like that, but I interpret this as like Jesus kind of showing us that he enters into the stages of all of our emotions, and that he understood all of them. And so when I'm really frustrated and angry about my purpose or my lack thereof, or whatever it is that I'm feeling in the moment, I know that I can approach him with that feeling. Whereas I think before, maybe like years ago, I thought for whatever reason, there were certain emotions you just weren't supposed to go to God with because you didn't deserve to have those emotions, or it was, you know, not faithful that you would have those emotions. And I think now, in light of something like this, I read this and I think, okay, it's actually okay for me to go to you and be angry, because you probably felt it too. I even think about the moment where Jesus said, you know, Father, why have you forsaken me? Yeah. And you had to figure that's probably a moment of anger, actually, for Jesus. And so he understood those emotions. And I think knowing that and seeing it in this story, it's like, yeah, I can come to you with those emotions. And that's freeing and liberating.
Yeah. That's awesome. When you were saying that, when you mentioned the anger thing, Father, why you have forsaken me? My buddy Matt told me like a couple weeks ago, he's like, you know, we think of emotions as, a lot of time when we say, oh, someone's emotional, right? It's sadness, it's, all the kind of negative connotory things. But the truth is, like, emotions, there's so many emotions that we experience in life. And I think you hit it right on the head. Jesus experienced all of that. And if you look at the Bible, especially with the anger one, with the one that you just mentioned, when God, why have you forsaken me? I think a lot of the times the Lord uses our emotions, that vast majority of emotions, to bring him closer to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody is sad, right, it's not always a bad thing, right? We put a bad label on it. It's sadness. It's not good to be sad. You should always be happy, right? But sometimes sadness is a way for the Lord to bring him closer to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm gonna butcher this, and there's so many research that go into this, but like sometimes the Lord, when you go into like stages of like anger, or like even like minor sorts of like depression, and too, like the Lord uses, I think, that in a way to bring him closer to you.
Yeah.
Now I'm not gonna make the claim that like the Lord makes people depressed to bring them closer to him. I think you can get into all of that, and I think truly, like, the Lord has a plan for our lives. And
I got into an argument with the guys on Wednesday morning about that one time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's dude, we could
go down that rabbit hole.
Dude, we
forever.
should ask Justin about that.
We should.
Actually.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, as far as the vast majorities of humanity goes, you have to think that the God of the universe implemented our nature to have all these emotions in a way to bring us closer to him, right? So yeah, we're just studying the kind of sadness part of that here.
I mean, I'll say, dude, I've knocked on God's door angry more than I've ever knocked on God's door happy. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that, like, that's just, he's often used anger to bring me back to him.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. It's true, man. That's good. Number 3, last question of the devotional. Consider the significance of Jesus' tears in the context of Sorry, let me redo this. Consider the significance of Jesus' tears in the context of his impending miracle of raising Lazarus from the dead. What does this emotional response teach us about the depth of Jesus' love and connection to humanity? I feel like these are just kind of rephrased.
Yeah. I mean, to that, I would just say it's
I wrote these questions too.
There's a time for everything, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have been appropriate. And maybe this is even like because people talk about miracles and things like that all the time in the church. And maybe it's just a lesson in how to approach things like that, and how to approach being with people in their grief, and how to approach, like, maybe he was just setting the tone for us to be like, look, this is the blueprint. You start with empathy. Even if you know there's a solution, even if you know that, prayer can heal, even if you know that miracles can happen, all these different things, you don't start with that. That's not how we do this. We start with empathy. And I think what I take away from that is just that was him giving us the blueprint for how to approach people that are in grief.
Yeah.
And how to grieve yourself. It's like, you don't start with the solution. You start with the confession of the realness of the feeling,
Yeah. That's good, man. I love that. What's interesting to me too is I was just looking at this passage that we just read, right? The chapter 11, the very first section is the death of Lazarus, and then it gets to a section called I am the resurrection and the life. Then we just read the Jesus weep section, and then the section after we just read is when Jesus actually raises Lazarus from the dead. So the interesting thing to me about it is that Jesus cried even before he had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead, right? So, I mean, Jesus has done miracles at this point. He could have done that, and there could have been no emotion involved. Lazarus died, boom, Jesus raised him from the dead, everybody's happy, no need to cry, we're good, right? But he takes this little section of the Bible and he becomes emotional with the family, and he grieves with them, showing his humanity, right? Before he actually makes the miracle happen, right? I think that's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, cool. I mean, getting into the weeds a little bit, but
come on.
It makes you wonder if there's something about the way that God made things, even his own parameters, his own self, if there's something necessary, like there's an order of steps that are necessary to performing miracles, even for him. And maybe he made it that way for a reason. And maybe Jesus had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead because he experienced the sorrow. I'm a pretty firm believer in there being like an equal opposite to everything. Okay. And I think the depths to which you can love somebody is the depths to which you can feel rejected by somebody, et cetera, et cetera. And I think in that moment, the depth of loss was equal to the power that Jesus had to raise Lazarus from the dead. Maybe. I'm not saying that I'm right about that. I'm saying that's my idea about it.
That's interesting, dude. I've never heard of that. I wonder, so that makes me beg the question next is, if that's true, if biblically that's true, then the power that God had to send his son Jesus to die on the cross, would that be, I guess, equated to creation or sending his son to earth? Like what?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the cross, right? It's like the most amazing of miracles was only made possible by the most horrific of tragedies. Mm-hmm. It took the worst possible thing to happen for the best possible thing to happen. Wow. And that was the whole point of it. So I do wonder sometimes if that's just how things are, if that's the way that God made everything. Again, I don't have any biblical, theological proof of that. That's just a pattern that I feel like I've noticed throughout Scripture.
Yeah, I like that. I've never been told that. I really like that. I would love to dive into that more. It's also interesting because this Lazarus, this is one of, if not the only instance where, don't quote me on this, but this is one of, if not the only instance of the Bible where Jesus raises somebody from the dead. And so we get a direct foreshadow of what's going to happen later in the chapter in which Jesus actually raises from the dead. So a lot of people study this passage to kind of see, okay, how is this similar, right? Jesus, being fully man, fully God, raises a man from the dead. And then we get to Jesus, being fully man, fully God, God raising his son from the dead. So what does that tell us about God, right? It's like the math behind it, but
tells us that he likes Easter eggs.
He likes Easter eggs. Yeah, dude, that's really interesting. I would love to study that further, but
one of these days, dude, I would really love to have a full-blown theologian, maybe even two that come from two different backgrounds. And I just want to float all of my crazy theological ideas that I don't have any idea if they're true or not, and just see what these guys say about it.
Dude,
I want to do that
I'm
sometime.
with you on that.
Yeah.
There's this, well, I'm sure Justin probably has some of those questions. He's probably thought about that a lot because he comes from a, background of discovering that. Sorry, those birds were pretty crazy. There's also this guy that's going on all these podcasts, man. His name's Cliff.
Yeah.
You've seen him?
On
Dude,
George
he's
Janko,
awesome,
the guy?
man.
Yeah.
He's really cool. He's bold and he just knows his stuff, dude.
Yeah.
And I've been watching him a lot. But yeah, I'd love to just sit down and just fire away questions.
Shoot him an email.
I also think that we're not going to understand everything. We're not going to know answers about everything. And I think that's part of having faith, right?
Yeah.
If we knew everything obsolete, if we knew all the answers to it, I don't think there would be any necessary means for faith.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll chime in one more time. I just feel like the thing about theology to me that's really interesting, even though I'm not a theologian, but I do love exploring these mysteries and kind of coming up with my hypotheses and my ideas about how everything works.
Yeah.
And it's not because I think I need to understand everything to be saved or for things to be okay. It's just because for me, constantly asking these big questions keeps me curious about God.
Yeah.
And I think curiosity, if you look at anything in your life, as long as you can stay curious about it, you can stay close to it. And I think that's
awesome.
what we have with God is he's a God of mystery for a reason.
Yeah.
Because mystery draws you in. And so we get to ponder these questions. And at the end of the day, I always tell myself, I'm going to be wrong about probably almost all this. And we're going to laugh about it. But it's the mystery. It's the curiosity that brings you in. It's like you said, he uses these things, these unresolved questions to bring us closer to him.
That's awesome. I love that, dude. I think about that with my own music too. What keeps me going is, the curiosity of maybe it's a hit, maybe it'll go. Mm-hmm. Right? That's it's like a dopamine hit, right? When it does happen, and then you just kind of want to keep on going. Man, if we could take that and apply it to our spiritual lives, man, just think about the growth that we would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at my music stuff. It's you get that dopamine hit a couple times and you keep on going and you keep on growing and you learn from things and then you make better songs and you write better songs. Man, if that was the same with what we were doing here, dude. Yeah. Imagine the men that we could be, man.
Yeah. You said it a second ago, dude. It's you start getting into the rhythm of things and things get routine. I mean, the most, I guess, depressed I've ever been when it comes to church and faith and all that was the number of years that I thought I knew everything, and I would go to church and I'd be like, yep, already heard that. I know. And I lost my curiosity. I didn't have any. And there was no closeness with God in that season. Because it's the same. Think about with like a partner, with a person. It's like, if you start thinking you know everything about your wife, it's done, dude. It's done.
That's good. Dang, dude. Brooks bringing some heat tonight, bro. No pun intended. All right, we got a couple questions here. You ready? We're firing away. Question number 1 is from, I don't know her real name. I'm so sorry. Seashell 2014. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Where are you going to be, Matt?
See myself in the next 5 years. Man, for being honest, I'd love to be married. Love to have a family, dude. But on this track, it's not looking too hot. But yeah, dude, I'd love to settle down, keep on doing this stuff, keep on doing the podcasts, doing music, putting out songs, writing songs. Yeah, and just be able to live kind of a life where I can be with my family. And I think that's why I'm so not attracted to touring, because it's always like every weekend you're gone thing. And I'm really a homebody, but I'm also I like community. I like going and play basketball with like guys down the streets and stuff like that. Being on the road, man, I miss it too much. So go.
I was gonna say I'll be on the road.
You be on the road.
I'll be on a tour bus.
So different.
But I'll have a home. You know, I have a home out in the middle of nowhere, ideally, and probably one kid on the way. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, dude. We gotta talk about things afterwards.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was random. Okay. You got some big plans coming up, bro. I don't know if we're allowed to say that.
Well, we'll keep them low key, but
okay.
Yeah.
Little Lacey 2000. What is the wildest thing you have seen since being in Tennessee?
You go ahead and start.
I don't know, man. I don't have an answer yet. You go.
I've told you the Sasquatch story, right? You know that one.
That's the best story I've ever been told by anybody in my life.
It's too long of a story, so I'm going to give the very, very short version of it. Maybe one day somehow I'll tell the long one.
What time
so
is it?
This wasn't in Tennessee, but I started in Tennessee. It was the trip Tennessee down to Arkansas. Long story short, I was playing a gig and I was supposed to be playing music, a lot of, you name it. Strange people in Arkansas asked me to come play. Nobody was there. I thought there was going to be a festival. There was not. There was like 30 people, and then it was like 3. Long of the short is, it rained really hard. The gig got rained out. When I was trying to leave, they told me I wasn't allowed to leave because I was supposed to be doing the Sasquatch hunt with them. And when I said I didn't want to do the Sasquatch hunt, they pulled out a gun. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I went to my car. I was like, I just need to call my mom really fast. And then I just put the car in drive and drove away. They were yeehawing and shooting guns in the sky and drove off that property as fast as I could.
Tell me about Grandpa, though.
Oh, yeah. In the middle of all this, there was this guy. It was the lady that booked me, her dad. Older man who was living in looked like a home hospice, but he was like a hoarder's house. That was supposed to be my dressing room, was his house. So I just had to change clothes in front of this guy on a ventilator, which was, what it was. And then at the end of the day, whenever they were all shooting guns at me and I was driving off the property, I'm not joking. This dude with his ventilator still like strapped to his body was driving like a big rig tractor at me off the property.
While they were shooting guns at you.
So yeah, that's probably the craziest thing I've seen. Yeah.
Dude, they were planning on sacrificing you. Dude.
They were.
100%.
It was, dude, they were like, we do the yearly hunt with somebody from the outside. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be that.
You ain't leaving.
I am not the sacrifice. No, sir.
Dude, he told me this story I think we were on a hike, actually.
I was like the first time we ever hung out.
Yeah. He told me for 10 minutes and I was along for it the whole time. When you get the long version, it's just hilarious. This is hilarious too, but the long version, dude, I'm to this day, it's the best story I've ever heard.
It's quite a story.
Wildest thing I've seen since living in Tennessee. Wildest thing I've seen. Dude, I don't even know. Yeah, I didn't know they got tornadoes here in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
We get hurricanes in Florida, which are pretty bad. But tornadoes, man, that's...
I thought you were going to say you saw Nick's tooth in your Panda Express.
Dude, I don't know wild thing. What's a wild thing that you've seen, Nick? Wildest thing?
I saw somebody wipe out at sent you on one of those bird scooters that she
No way.
Their bridesmaids, and she was out. They all gathered around. She was just passed out.
I saw
What?
Shawn Mendes wipe out on a bird scooter one time.
Here in Nashville?
Yeah. I was working at a hotel.
That's crazy.
I helped him clean the blood off his face.
What a guy.
If you watch him with the Zach Brown band on the CMT thing, like from 2018 or something, you'll see
it.
the big black eye. It was that night.
No way,
Yeah.
dude. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything wild yet. I guess, I don't know. I have a friend that lives in a very interesting house with like 6 people.
Oh, Ethan?
Yeah. And he's got some interesting characters in
does.
there, and I've
He's
I've
getting
heard
out.
crazy stories.
He's moving out.
I know he's
That's good.
He's moving out. He's yeah. Anyways, I haven't really seen anything wild, so I guess we'll go to the next.
If you
person.
spend 48 hours with Ethan, you'll see something crazy. That's
Oh
just,
yeah,
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to think of stories with Ethan. I got nothing. Anyways, all right. Summer Faye 626. Are you? Oh, this is for both of us. Are you currently writing any new music, and if so, when?
You go first.
Okay. Yes, I've for the boys right here. Good God is coming out. I think in 2 weeks. Yeah, get in the mix back. I think next week. So excited for that.
Let's
The
go.
song I wrote for my mom, sang it at her funeral. Super special song for me. Yeah, writing a bunch. I got this really cool kind of line dance song called Church. We wrote it where we worked on a song called Highs and Lows, which I'm really excited about.
Yep.
It's very folky, Zach Bryan-y, but
I sent it all in today.
yeah, dude, it
So
sounds
I think it's
awesome,
there.
dude.
Yeah.
And then just kind of writing more songs just about what I've been going through with grief. Got a song called Red Letters. I actually shared it on the podcast one time. And then Heaven's Got a Dance Floor. I don't think I've ever shared that one, but that one's kind of about the story with my mom too. A lot of songs about grief and mom and Jesus, man. I'm just writing.
Write what you know.
That's it. Writing spread good news. So what you got?
Yeah. Dude, for me, it's that album, 5 Stages of
Yeah.
Grief. We're 2 stages in.
Yes.
Bargaining comes out next month. It's going to be a song called Letterman. And then I don't know what my depression song is yet. And then Acceptance will be the full album. So it'll be a ton of songs.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, if you guys don't follow Brooks Huntley Official on Instagram, he's got a really cool project he's working on about the 5 stages of grief. Second stage is already out. He's working on third stage. Go check that out. And also give Nick Eagles a follow over there. He makes this show possible with the cameras and the sound.
He'll make you laugh.
Yes. He's also a comedian, man. You got to check out his stuff on YouTube. Yeah. All right. 4th question. We're doing great. 7:23. What do you like to do in your free time?
Free time. Haven't heard of it. No, I mean, seriously, I literally make music in my free time. I keep doing it. So for me, it's just continuing on with the music stuff. If and when I'm just like burnt out completely, I play MLB The Show on PlayStation 4
Let's go.
or watch the Astros. Like my entire life is music and baseball in this podcast. That's it.
What's up.
So
I love it.
Yep.
I'm kind of the same way, dude. Also, that question was from Lydia Papagua. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but free time for me, man. This podcast is pretty busy for me. Music stuff pretty much happening every week. Doing content for music. That's all work. Free time, Fortnite, 100%. Oh, I love Fortnite, dude. Me and my friends were going to start live streaming the other night. But then we played and we realized that if we live stream, there's a good chance we could all be canceled. Just because that is like a group chat that just like, yeah. Not anything like super bad, just like stupid stuff.
you just need to wear like silly masks and have pseudonyms so you can just do it.
Just stupid stuff. Anyways, and then I play my guitar a lot. I've been going hiking a lot. Radnor. That's about it, dude. That's about it. And I think that's all the questions. Hold on. Why to sing? Yeah, that's it.
Damn.
That's it, dude.
We bodied that.
We bodied that. That was a great episode. I was gonna play something tonight, but to be honest, my voice is just shot. And yeah.
Leave them wanting more, man.
We'll play something next week.
Yeah.
We'll figure out something to play next week. We could even share our song that we worked on too.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Just play it together.
Yeah.
So tune in next week. We'll share highs and lows. A unreleased little thing for you. So, you got anything else?
Dude, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Got anything? All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the Ask Me Anything episode. If you want to send in your questions, you can go to the Ask Me Anything chat within Patreon. Send us all your questions. We're going to answer them each and every week. So we're excited to have this Patreon launched, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want to watch the full uncut version of this episode, you can head over to our Patreon for more exclusive content. That's patreon.com/thebondfire. Again, that's patreon.com/thebondfire. You can get exclusive content, watch ad-free episodes, and a whole lot more. So we'll see you over there.